Hello and welcome to a Navcast, season 8, episode, what is this, 7, I think?
Yeah,
Shoot,
I think so.
something like that. Yeah, maybe 8, maybe 6, we don't know.
Honestly, I can't tell because if you look on Spotify, it doesn't really tell you what season we're on. Like I don't know
That's
how.
my fault, actually. So the problem was that I didn't like how it showed up with the season and episode on certain platforms, but I couldn't change it specifically because of the particular software that we use to distribute. Uh, like I would have to go into the platform itself and change it, and that just didn't seem appealing to me. So I just ended up just making it like the same across all of them, and then like it should still like have like somewhere on it like a season and episode, but like it's not going to be in the title anymore. But that is my fault. Little back end stuff for you. But
Gotcha.
yeah, it is. Johnny Bailey is absent yet again. I almost said he was here. That would have been a lie. Johnny who? And the
He's
invisible
here, but he's not
snares.
here. He's in the
Yeah.
background. He's kind of like Craig. He's here, but he just doesn't want to say anything.
And so it is just the produce farmer and myself, DJD, here this lovely Monday evening. And we were just talking about buying cartridges on eBay, which brings
Yeah.
back memories to me of like, oh man, you know what was the best for me was Super Nintendo cartridges at flea markets.
Oh
Like,
man, yeah.
yeah,
Like
like go,
one of
like
those
go,
like used ones, like where you go back and
yeah,
like swap them. Man, that was
yeah,
like
like
we did
swap
that with the
meets or whatever.
Sega
Like, yeah,
Genesis. Yeah,
those
I
were
did
all
that with the
really
Sega
cool.
Genesis, man. Yeah,
Yeah,
and I don't know how many different like basketball games. Like at the time, I guess I was really into basketball, but I remember swapping out a bunch of different basketball games and finally getting like this arcade one that just like it was really cool 2v2, but it's one of those NBA games where you like have all those powers. It felt like you're slamming the ball with fire and all these things breaking the. I don't know. It was a good time, but like going like
I know what
those are
you're
kind
talking
of
about though. Was that
yeah
like Street Jam or something? I
yeah
definitely know what
yeah
you're talking
something
about.
like that.
Yeah,
Yeah, like
yeah, that
hoops.
was a
I don't
really
know.
awesome game. Yeah,
Yeah, no, it was great. It was great, and we had a blast with it. I mean, just the whole swapping games like is such a lost. It's kind of a lost art at this point, right? It's a lost concept. Like like we don't do that at all anymore because everything's like so much digital. But back in the day, Blockbuster or what was it, GameFly after that, like 10 years afterwards or something like that.
yeah,
Is
yeah.
GameFly I think they're probably not
Or
doing anything.
Netflix even had their own thing too for a while
Yeah,
of like
I,
renting games or whatever. Yeah,
I GameFly's no more, right? Or they still do they still
I
do
think
stuff?
Gamefly's still around. I think they also offer like a streaming thing now too.
Yeah, you're right. I'm looking at it right now. I can't believe it. So that's awesome. So it's not completely lost, but that whole going to like the store and being able to like swap back and forth, yeah, that's kind of a lost thing for sure.
Yeah. I mean, like, especially like with things like Blockbuster, obviously, like biting the bullet and like disappearing. And,
Yeah, yeah.
even
I mean,
I
even
would say,
buying
like,
used games, at this point,
well,
is really hard.
exactly. Like, buying them and then also the amount you get back for selling them, right? Like, if you go to like a GameStop and you sell a used game, like, you're going to get pennies on a dollar back,
Yeah,
usually
yeah.
now.
There's
And like, I mean,
there's
like
nothing
that
for
won't
doing
get
that for
you a new
sure.
game. Like, like you won't be able to like swap it for another used game. Generally speaking, uh, that's just a lot more
Yeah,
difficult to
and
do
and
now.
so at that point, it's like okay, it's mostly for just collectors at this point. If you want the physical copy, because
Right.
why would you sell it unless it's like completely mint and shrink wrap and all that and has no scratch, and then even then, you'd have to find the right market.
Yep. That reminds me though too of the most expensive like single video game that I ever bought was actually a Super Nintendo cartridge for like $129, I think, or something like that.
What?
And
Are
my
you kidding
parents
me?
actually bought it, but it was in a NBA like 2K game. Was actually what it was. It was a 2K basketball game. and I was back like when
Explain to
the
me,
Super
please.
Nintendo was relatively new, and that was just like some of the games were just priced super high for some reason. I don't know why.
Explain to
But
me.
like I
It's
mean
it's
like
2025, and they're just now saying that. Microsoft was going to raise the prices, and then they brought them back down, and it's what 69.99, or some of them seventy
right,
nine ninety nine.
yeah.
Like like how how have they kept
So
it at that level? And then Super Nintendo back in the day was that expensive.
when it's a niche market and they're producing less at like a mass level or whatever, I bet it probably costs more in materials,
Yeah.
especially when you're
Well, and
developing
Nintendo's
like a
been really
physical
good about
cartridge.
making
Like,
their money on all
yeah,
that kind of stuff too. So
true,
I guess
that
that's
as
what
well. Yeah,
they said that was the bar, if you wanted to be the cool kid with the cartridge, with and I guess we have a cool kid right here cuz he got one.
yeah. Well, to be completely honest, I didn't buy it. My parents did,
Yeah,
but
but
still, like I mean, like
because yeah,
yeah.
you were
Also,
one of
like
the cool kids.
when you're on the edge of the market and the market is just being created, like yeah, things are going to be a lot pricier than like when they like enter mainstream or whatever, you know. And like yeah, that was the
Yeah,
case there. I'm assuming. Yeah.
I pretty much stayed in that ballpark of like most of the games, except for a few special editions, which that makes sense because I was getting extra things with it. But like the one that really calls back to me when I was a kid with my actual own money, and I'm pretty sure I brought this up in a podcast before. Maybe it's been a long time, but it's actually a N64 Spider-Man game, and
Oh sure, yeah,
I remember that game, and it was great. It was, it was had all those
fantastic
callbacks to
game.
like
Yeah.
Marvel, the Marvel universe, all the comics, all the collectibles. It was a great game. But I remember like just the actual like just the narrative part of the storyline, the linear part of it. Like I got that game, I played it, and I spent all my money that I had. It was like 60 or I think it was $60 or something like that. And I remember beating that in one day and be like, you had that great feeling of the game, and then at the end, you're like, man, that was short. He's like, uh, but when it comes down to it, there was a lot of really cool modes after that. But that initial, like, I can't believe I spent this much money and beat that game in one day. But
Yep.
again, it was well worth it after after finding all these other modes and like, I played that. I remember playing back through that game so many times, like different levels and things like that. It was a good
Was that
time.
the
So.
first Spider-Man?
Yeah, it was just called Spider-Man, and it
Yeah.
was like that the comic in the
Right.
90s, and
And then
it was
one of the
red. It
modes
was the
was like
cartridge
you
was
could
red.
play as like a Green Goblin.
Yeah, you could like unlock a
Yeah.
bunch of different
Yeah.
suits, and you could
Yeah.
eventually like unlock Green Goblin or something like that.
I
It
feel like Insomniac Spider-Man was like heavily inspired by that. I feel like.
it had to have been
Yeah.
because when I played their first game, it was just like almost like a callback to that, especially with all the suits and the
That's what it
gadgets.
felt like.
It's like,
Yeah.
man, I mean, they had back then. They had where some of the suits gave you like web slinging abilities or give you extra strength, and that was really cool for back then. And then Insomniac just kind of played off of that and then blew it out of the water. With so
Right.
many other
Yeah.
gadgets and so many other styles and so many other suits, and then with the you get that whole the animated um like it's unreal like how many suits are on that game now and like just the options in that game, the customizations. I really want to get back to that game honestly. The Miles Morales one was they brought in um into this the Spider Verse costume, and that was really cool because they changed kind of like the frames per second on it, to give you that whole animated feel to it, which was pretty slick. Like there's so much in those games. Like I need to get back into them. Really, I do.
Yeah. I actually still haven't played the second Spider-Man, so I'm very much looking forward to that. But
Ooh.
eventually, I'll get to it.
Yeah, you got to get around to it for sure.
Yeah.
I was just thinking about that. Like I was actually thinking about I need to boot up my PlayStation to play that and to get back into Horizon Zero Dawn. We kind of talked about that a little bit last week, but um, yeah, both all those games I need to jump back into.
I mean, eventually they'll come to Xbox, but like, do you really want to wait? Like,
Well, I
yeah.
mean, why would I do that when I can, just
Right,
I'm,
play
I'm
them
starting to
live right
find a
now.
little bit
Yeah,
more time
yeah,
here and there, and trying to squeeze in a
yeah.
little bit more time. So maybe I can jump in there before too long. Now that I'm actually playing through South of Midnight, so I'm on a roll. I played through Indiana Jones, and now I'm on South of Midnight. And I'm actually hitting some of these games that I haven't been able to touch for a long while. So that's pretty exciting for me. I'm really enjoying this game, and the music, like as you guys know, I'm into music all the time. So like, really enjoying the music aspect of this game too.
You need to play after you finish that. You need to play Expedition 33
Oh
because
yeah,
man, the music in
it's on
that
my
is
list.
just on
It's my
another level. Like
Yeah, it's on
just
my list
everything
for
about that
sure.
game. Like that's definitely probably I can't imagine another game beating that out for Game of the Year.
Yeah,
We'll see, but like I'm very high on it. I like, and I still haven't played The Altars, which I hear is really good. But like, uh, yeah, we'll see. Well, I think it's actually been a pretty good year for video games when it comes down to it.
oh man, there's
Like
so. I
too
mean, honestly,
crowded,
it's been a
I would
good.
say, but like
It's
I mean,
been
like yeah,
very crowded. Really good games this year. I was also
yeah.
thinking, going through the list, how many good movies actually came out this year as well. Like we've had a pretty decent year, honestly, for movies as well as games. There's
You,
there's many
you
of the
care to
movies I
elaborate on
still
that?
haven't seen. Uh, oh yeah, I mean sure. I don't know. I was looking through the list and we were talking last week about the Jurassic Park, and then the new Superman's getting pretty good ratings, like the Fantastic
New
Four
Superman is
movie.
awesome. That's probably my movie
It's
of the year. We'll see,
is it?
but
Yeah.
yeah,
I mean
that or
I've heard
Thunderbolts
yeah
because
I've
I
heard yeah Thunderbolts came out this year. Like there's been a bunch. Um, there was something else that I was looking at, and now it's eluding me. But um, man, what was it? Well, regardless, yeah, there's so many that I haven't seen at this point, and I'm just like, I need to I need to make a checklist. Oh, I was thinking about Andor. I mean, I saw another good review about it, and like season two and everything. Like so many like different so many things I don't have time for. Is really what it comes down to. But eventually I'll make it. You know what I was doing the other last night actually? It actually got me into like um really excited for Halo and the new concept and the new approach for Halo Studios and everything. But you know what kind of got me on that? I was well, we were actually playing Fortnite, and apparently the next like on the 7th there's a little mini event that they're gonna have Halo. Like I don't know how long it is yet, but they're actually bringing in like this like event that's Halo themed and everything in Fortnite. So I'm pretty excited about that. I don't know if you've heard that or not. Or not. David, you there? Hello. Well, apparently it's just me, so this is going to be the shortest podcast ever. No, I'm kidding. Are we back? Hello.
okay. Can you hear me now?
Yeah, I can hear you now. I don't
Okay,
know what happened
all
there.
right.
So I don't know if we got a
I
blip
so
in the whole recording or what.
we'll see, but like Craig still is hanging out here, so if he messed up, that's on him. But
Craig, what are we paying you
yeah.
for?
So I have questions, and you might not necessarily know the answer to these questions,
I,
but
I don't know where we left off. What was the last thing you heard?
the last thing I heard was you talking about the Fortnite event.
Yeah, yeah. So I'm pretty excited because I would. It got me on to like my son was playing Halo 2 days ago, and I kind of like okay, I haven't played this game in a bit. He was playing Halo 3, and so I jumped back in and played a little bit. Then it got me to thinking, oh, what about Halo Studios? So I went back and read their whole article and got me kind of pumped when I came down to it about the direction and using Unreal Engine and all this stuff. And then lo and behold, there's a Fortnite event that's coming out, and it's Halo themed, and so I'm like, okay,
Right.
this is it. This is where I come back.
Well, so my question is it a Fortnite event or is it like I don't know. In the comments I saw something about Power Rangers. So my question
So those are
is
actually two separate things.
okay, all right.
So what I think, and this is all up for debate because I
Because I
really
was
don't
wondering
know.
if maybe it was going to be like a Power Armor season or something like that. Like, but yeah,
Maybe, but what I think is happening is like they're having like this small event going on because they like to do like these small events and then they lead up to the next battle pass. And I think the battle
sure.
pass is themed around the Power Rangers. But
Oh,
I
okay,
mean,
all right,
it could very easily that they kind of like go back and forth. I don't know. What it seems to me is that the next season is Power Rangers and this event coming up on in 3 days, I guess, is going to be like probably a week or two of like this Halo event where you have to fight the bugs, whatever they are. I assume they're like, the buggers in Halo and you have to take out like swarms of them or something like that. I'm not quite sure, but they really haven't I haven't seen any more details than, just like, oh, Halo event's coming. And so I'm interested to see. I will definitely keep my eyes open to see, and I'll probably be playing with the kids because they're all pumped. They're all pumped to play as Master Chief now, especially since he's been getting into Halo a little bit more, playing some of the campaigns, which is crazy. And he's like, "I love Halo 3." I'm like, man, he's like, I didn't even train him. He's like he did this on his own, but he's just like so much in that aspect, just like me when it comes to that. It's like he's definitely my son, and I didn't force it upon him, which makes me a little bit even more proud. It's not like I was like, you have to love this game. I wasn't drilling it to him like school or anything like that. This is the only game you will play. He's come to it on his own. Even after playing all this Fortnite, he's starting to see how Halo is the game. And there's so much like that we there's so much that can still be going for Halo, and that after reading that article and the direction, I mean, I'm still pumped. I'm always gonna be pumped for Halo, for more Halo. So I'm interested. I'm excited. I'm really want to see what's going on.
I mean, I'm kind of like excited to see. I mean, it probably won't get me back in, but I'm kind of excited to see. Uh, I think it's cool that Fortnite does all these collabs. I also think that Fortnite wouldn't be Fortnite without the collabs, so I think it kind of has to. Did you see the way that Battlefield is kind of like saying that they're going to try to remain grounded?
Can you expand on that?
So, Battlefield's trailer just released last week. Their multiplayer trailer, and it
Mm-hmm.
looks really cool and everything. But one of the things they announced, like in the midst of like all the hype around their trailer and like announcing their upcoming beta, which I think is this week actually. I think it starts on like the 7th or whatever if you have a key, and I think like the 9th for the open. I could be wrong. I'm actually probably wrong. But the cool thing I think is a that it looks like a good Battlefield game, which I think is
Awesome.
good.
Yeah, that's what
And
we need.
especially if it's not bug ridden like 2042 was and everything, like, and it has a better launch than that, I think that'll be good.
Well, and it seems
But
like
then
they've taken a little bit
also,
longer on the development cycle on this one, right? A
that's
little
the
bit.
other thing too, is hopefully like that development cycle has helped a lot with that. Yeah. Uh, but also, like, I mean, like, one of the things that's kind of frustrated me with Call of Duty is how much they've leaned into like all the crazy skins and collabs and stuff, and it just like
Mm.
it. It's a weird thing, I think, for like a war shooter to kind of like really lean into that heavily.
Right,
You
when
know?
it almost makes it a little bit almost childish because in a way, yeah, it doesn't maybe make it as authentic. I don't know. I totally know what you're
Yeah.
saying though. It
It
like
just
it
it
kind of
just feels
lessens it
weird.
a little bit.
Like,
Yeah, I don't know.
I was kind of okay with MCC doing it because it was near the end of MCC's life cycle, and MCC didn't go that crazy. They just had like some weird like looking armor or whatever. Like, I mean, like it wasn't like, oh, like
Yeah, it was kind of cool for
somebody
custom
from like
games and
South
things
Park
like
is here.
that.
Like it wasn't crazy like that,
Yeah,
you
it
know.
wasn't
It
like
was just like,
way.
yeah, it was like this is
It
samurai
went
armor.
along with
It's
kind of
like
like their
okay,
lore a little bit. It like it
right,
could
yeah,
stuff that could be imagined this way, but it wasn't like all of a sudden I'm pulling animation from like I don't know Nickelodeon or whatever, like Cartoon
right.
Network.
Yeah. So I mean, like, I don't know, like that whole, and then like having like singers and like music artists. No offense to them, but having them as skins is weird. I feel like too. But I mean, like, I don't know, like having celebrities at all. I think gets you into. And granted, I think a lot of war games have had celebrities of some type or another. But I think this like fixation on music artists is relatively new. You know,
Yeah,
like
Fortnite's really like kind of I don't know. It's like they've made the
that's
path
kind
for
of.
that to happen.
I think that's the problem is that I think Fortnite can get away with it because of its art style and because that's what it is, right? It's all
Yeah,
about the
because
collabs. Like it
it's
wouldn't
got
be
the
it without
everybody
it,
coming there. You got
right?
the
Yeah,
dads, you got the kids, you got the moms. All the gamers are collabing in this one spot, so it makes sense to put all the stuff there because I mean it's marketing. Let's be real. I mean, and that's kind of like when going back to that collab with Halo. Um, One of the reasons that they're collabing is because Epic is working, with Halo Studios because of the Unreal Engine. So it's like it makes sense because they're having all these different conversations, and I like that in a sense because that really makes me think, okay, you know, there's some cool things coming for that, and I'm really excited to kind of see it in Unreal, anyways. But like that whole aspect of like they can do it. I don't think it needs to be everywhere. I think there's a point where
exactly,
you got to hold the
exactly. Yeah,
line on, especially again on some of these games that you know has no place, in my opinion.
I would agree. I think that like Call of Duty kind of has like a grounded kind of like atmosphere where it's like okay, like some of the like crazy like mod skins or whatever of like presidents and stuff is a little bit out there for sure. Like probably, like maybe possibly sometimes even in poor taste, maybe a little. But I mean, like this whole like having everybody in Call of Duty, I don't think you need to do that, and I don't think you should. Like it's a more grounded, like kind of experience. It's supposed to be like taking itself relatively seriously, and I think you lose a lot of that when you start like incorporating some of these like crazy skins and stuff. Uh, that said, it feels really nice to see Battlefield going, yeah, we're gonna try to be grounded. We're gonna try to be more accurate and like more like serious in this age of like Call of Duty being kind of like in everyone's here kind of game. Also,
Yeah,
fully destructible environments. It looks like fully
yeah. I mean,
destructible. Like
that's
even
their
more
calling
so than
card. I'm
like the
glad about
previous
that.
ones.
Yeah,
Yeah,
that's awesome.
like I mean, like entire buildings collapsing into other buildings, causing them to fall. Like I mean, like it looks really sick. It looks really awesome. Uh, But and
I
I
hope.
was right
I
about
hope.
the dates too, 7th and
Yeah,
ninth.
I want to.
Yeah,
I want to get in. Like, oh man, Battlefield Night. Like, we never find time to play.
sure. Yeah,
When it
I
comes down,
understand that.
but
Yeah, yeah.
I love. I've always loved like that and the Bad Company games. With just like those destructive environments, it's just such a neat thing. And it just adding that extra level of realism and then adding that in a multiplayer setting is like
Well,
just adding extra layers of variables of things that you can do in a squad situation with your buddies. It's just like
right.
it's just so cool. You're like, oh, let me blow this door open, or blow this wall down, or we'll set a mine here and then we'll breach it or whatever. We'll take down the tower. uh,
Well, and just also like the chaos of like 64 versus 64 or whatever. I don't know how big like it is this time around,
yeah, and how
but I
much
mean,
the
like, yeah,
environment can just like you lose visuals, you lose contact. It's just chaos,
right.
and you're like, where am I? It just can change the gameplay so drastically.
And yet,
It's
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 also
cool.
like more accessible than like some of these like war sim games. Like
Hmm.
your brother actually tried to get me into, and I enjoyed it for what it was, but like, oh man, I'm gonna forget the name of it now. But it was definitely a more involved, like almost like a simulation game in some ways, where like Oh man, I don't remember the name of it. Oh, that's gonna bug me. I'll try to search for it as I continue talking. But
I think I know which game you're talking about. It's that one where you really have to like squat up and like control like all the vehicles, like the tanks. You really have to have like spotters and all that sort of thing.
I think so. Yeah,
Um, I
but
had it. I can't remember the name
yeah,
either. It's like, um, I think it's Hell Let Loose. Maybe is it that one?
yes, that's it. That's it. That's it.
Yeah,
Yep, 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 yep.
yeah. That
Where like
that
there
game
was
you
a
really
lot of
have to know what
communication
you're
that was
doing.
like mandated in that game. It
You
seemed
have to.
like,
Yeah, I
and like,
was.
wow,
We did
that's
really good as
intense.
like tanks. I played with them several times, and we were doing good as like tanks at one point, but we really had to like work it up. You know, it's not like we could just jump in and just be awesome. And then playing as just a soldier, you can have good moments, but you can have a lot of terrible time because you can just like just die, 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 unless you know what is going on. You know,
Yeah,
it's a very different style of game playing in those games because you really have to have like I don't know how you don't do it without having like some kind of clan or something like that, like a whole squadron that communicate on like almost like a daily basis. You have to be part of a
right.
group in
Yeah,
Discord that knows like you, very coordinated, very military. Yeah, very much military style of game for sure.
yeah. Like I would definitely call that more a mill sim than like just like a shooter or whatever, you know.
Yeah, you can't
Whereas I
just
don't
jump
think that
in
I
and
would
feel like you
apply
can
that.
take out everybody. That's for sure. No,
Yeah,
it's not, not gonna work like it in that game
and
at
I
all.
don't think I would apply that same like thing to like Battlefield, despite it being more grounded or whatever, and more kind of like warlike, I guess, and then like maybe even Call of Duty in some ways. But I still don't think that I would ever call Battlefield a milsim necessarily, just because it's
Yeah,
like way
well,
more like
you can feel like you can control like let's say the vehicles and do it by yourself decently. I mean, still the controls you still have to learn a little bit in Battlefield. You know, they are a little bit more
yeah.
realistic on that aspect. But on the
Well,
other front, you don't have to have people spotting out and like pointing out things that you can't see. You know, and so you get just a little bit more of instant action, where the other one's a little bit more like I guess methodical. You know, of gameplay. You know, it's
and
almost like chess versus
to
checkers
be
at this
fair,
point.
I think like especially with my experiences like playing with your brother or whatever, in Battlefield, I think you can play it like a milsim. I just don't think that the game necessarily is designed around that. Like I think it's designed to be more accessible than that, which I
Yeah,
think is good
I
for
think you
like
can step it
mass appeal.
back and yeah,
Yeah,
it caters to like even single player on both sides. You can again, like you said, you can squat up and get really tactical with it, or you can just jump in by yourself and then still feel like you're doing something. In the other game, you know, you can probably still do that, but it's like you really got to communicate. You know, so
right. Yeah.
that being said, yeah, I'm excited. I'm excited to see when is that launching. By the way, is that next year?
That
Or
oh
is that this
gosh.
fall?
Let's see. I see the
I saw the
beta
announcement, but I never
requirements
actually saw
here.
the full trailer.
Did he announce a full release date? I see the beta is like again like next week, like August like 7th and 9th respectively, if you pre-ordered or not. Um, I'll look for the launch time. But
This what's this one called? This is this Battlefield 6 at this point?
Battlefield 6, yes.
Yeah, it is coming out this year, October 10th.
Yeah. I was pretty sure it was this year, but yeah.
Yeah, I'll have to look at
A
that.
lot
I'll
of
have to
games
look at
this
that
year.
full
My
trailer. Yeah,
goodness. Yeah.
lot of games. A lot of games. I kind of going a little bit back to that Halo game. So, um Halo games, you know, we've been using Halo Infinite for like a competitive series, but they said that they weren't using Halo Infinite for the next competitive series. So I'm not
Oh
saying
yeah,
that
I
there's
heard about
another
that. Yeah.
Halo, but there's very high potential, unless they're going to take a year break, that we could be seeing a Halo game fairly soon. So
Okay, so they actually did say in that announcement or whatever that Halo will that HCS will be taking a, or at least there will be no new Halo title for next year. and that Halo Infinite would not be a part of it. But that also makes me think that the new Halo gets announced next year. Like I think that has to
Right.
get.
So we might
Yeah,
have a year break on, and that's fine to kind of
yeah.
like get,
But then also, like, is that Halo 7 then, or whatever form that takes? Like, I mean, because like it would be kind of like for all. I have two theories. One is that the Halo 1 remake, which is rumored to not have multiplayer, comes out next year and gets announced this year, like at Game Awards or something, or like late next year or something. Like, I'm sorry, gets announced either late this year or early next year, and that's why, so that we still have a Halo game. But it would be really weird for them to launch two Halo games back to back, even if one is a remake. You know, like that seems
yeah,
odd to me.
I think they'll stagger
Even
them.
though they're developing like at the same time. As far as because like there's like what
I
four
couldn't see
games
them
or
doing
five
that.
games in
Yeah,
progress, but like the release date would be really weird to like put them back to back, even with one being like a remake. Uh, so
they might. Maybe they'll do something like they're this single player, and then they're gonna do multiplayer as a separate thing, and then continue to
but then
stagger
well, and
different
that's my
titles.
thought is like, yeah, maybe because they are developing them at the same time, maybe it does make sense to do that if Halo 1 remake really does have zero multiplayer. Like maybe it does make sense to also release a like mainline Halo game the next year that does have multiplayer.
Mm.
I don't know. um I'd be really curious to see. It's really kind of odd to have no real new news about like
Yeah, the last time that they said
Gears,
anything
about
was
Halo, about like I mean, granted we have like Gears Reloaded coming this year, but that's it. And that's just like the remaster thing or whatever.
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
that's
I
not
mean, a
even the
lot of that
prequel.
news was what November or something like of last year. At least the Halo article was that I was reading, and it's
Yeah.
just like, um, I think they're just. I think maybe hopefully they're learning from some of their mistakes of like giving out too much information and it's just like, and that's what I hope, like just letting
Yeah.
their games speak for themselves. Um,
Well, and then it's also like I mean, like the weird thing too is that there is kind of a little bit more of a void than there even was because we no longer have like things like Perfect Dark to look forward to. Like
right. Oh man, don't get me started on that game.
uh,
I'm so disappointed about that.
but yeah,
Still,
I think it's interesting to see what's up with Halo. Hopefully, we'll find out more. Like either at the end of this year or like my guess would be if not this year, then like in that like spring showcase for next year, maybe. Maybe we start to
I'm
see
hoping
something
that we
there.
get to see something at like maybe
Um,
the at the HCS tournament. That's what I'm hoping. The Halo
oh,
Worlds.
that's right. They did. Maybe going to show something there. Yeah, that's a good point. Yeah,
Yeah, so
they
that's
said
what
to
I'm
stay
hoping to see
peeled
at the
on
Worlds.
that. Yeah, yeah,
Yep. So
that's a
we
good
might
point. I
have
forgot about that. Yeah.
some information before too long. I think that's what in the fall. See if I can. I can't even remember when that is. I think it
And
is.
I mean, like on the one hand, like we have plenty of games. Like it's not like out of all the times like to be complaining about like a lack of a Halo, like now is not the time because like we really do have quite a lot of games. And honestly, Halo Infinite is still a great game. I don't give it the time of day right now, and I probably
Well,
should.
there's a lot of single
They
player
also
games to
did you
get
notice?
through, and
Yeah, I mean, did you see the new update for Halo Infinite's Forge where they added radial menus? That looks super sweet.
I
Like
have not. No, I did not know about that.
yeah, that sounds super cool to be able to like actually forge on console. Like, I mean, I don't know. I would imagine that it's well amended so that you can use it on PC too. But uh, because I feel like also they've started to nail some of that. Like
I mean, you've been able to
this will
forge on
work on
console for a
both.
while, but like this adds the extra what level of being able to do it, right?
Well, radials just make a lot more sense in terms of accessing certain like menu items and stuff than like going through
Right.
a like
Yeah, so
yeah menu within a
it
menu
helps
or
you a lot
whatever and
more.
all that. Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. And it just feels more natural with a controller to use radial menus. I'm a huge fan of radial menus when it comes down to it. I was actually a little bit disappointed that Diablo 4 doesn't use radial menus, but then with the way that they did the UI, I got over that pretty quick because honestly, it's a very usable cross platform UI. It's a very, very, and especially with the way that they did the skill tree and everything, I think they did a good job with it. I can't really complain. It took
And I
some
mean
getting
that's
used to,
and that's
but
what
now
you
that
really
I am.
want when you do anything crossplay. Like there's some games that hit the nail on the head, and there's others that like it's just like it works on PC, it doesn't work on console, or vice versa. And that's what I
Right.
with any of these games that are have
Well,
multiplayer or any kind of cross version like that, they've got to be cohesive and thinking about that for sure.
and then just not having to like figure out, okay, what are the controls on this versus that? Like, where do you find this option versus that? Like it's really nice to have the synergy there of like, no matter where I'm playing this game, it's gonna pretty much look and like play the same. It'll just be a matter of actually like figuring out which buttons correspond, as opposed to like things being completely different UI wise.
I will say something that they've really come a long way with on a lot of these games on either PC or even Xbox, but mostly on PC is where I've noticed it is like I can be playing, and I did this actually earlier today. I can be playing with my keyboard and actually literally plug in a controller if I want somebody to experience something, like if I want my son to like try something out, if I got to a certain spot, I just plug in that controller. I can literally hand him the controller, and it just so seamlessly takes over. You can go
Oh
back and
sure,
forth,
yeah,
and it's just crazy. I remember years ago where that would like break the system. It'd just be like,
right,
oh,
yeah.
reconfigure, or one wouldn't work or the other would, and it's just wow. Yeah, I need to bring that up. Like whoever's doing all that, you're doing your job.
Yeah. Well, I mean, like, I think all this investment on the PC side, especially for Xbox, is going to pay off when it comes down to it. I think it's smart of them to do that. I also think like it's really interesting to see all these third-party studios, especially like strangely the like overseas ones, like the Japanese, Korean, or whatever. Um, Studios like really utilizing like Play Anywhere, where you can buy it like once on console or the Xbox PC store, and then you own it in both places, and then it's cross usually as well. Like that's a really cool thing, and it just doesn't get talked about a lot.
It
But
needs
like
to be
the
talked
fact that
about
like
more for sure. And who
yeah,
really needs to
like I
start
know
playing
people are
ball with
obsessed
that?
with Steam, but
Yeah.
yeah,
You know who needs to really start, trying to play along with that whole thing is Nintendo, and what's the whole thing with the Switch 1 and Switch 2, and I, I'm pretty sure we don't have anything like that going on for them, except for maybe like their
I
virtual
mean
their
they're
virtual
doing
applications.
so technically. I would say actually that like PlayStation and Nintendo both, and PlayStation started this trend because I don't think Nintendo had an equivalent until this latest console release. Uh, they both do that $10 upgrade thing where you buy like the older version on a previous console and then you pay $10 to get
Right.
the newer version on a new console.
And then you get
And
both
you know what?
versions.
Honestly, I'm okay with that. I'm okay with paying $10 instead of like 70 or whatever to get the new like version. I'm okay with that.
At least
It's
there's
not
that.
as good,
It's not like what it
but
used
at
to be,
least
but
better
yeah.
than yeah, like yeah, it's not GTA having to buy GTA like for the fifth time on a like new platform or whatever. Like
Yeah, it's the
yeah.
upscale version of GTA because it's GTA and GTA knows what it's worth. It will it will get it will get it out of you one way or another.
Yeah, I mean that's
uh,
true. Yeah. But I mean like also like there was this interesting discussion I saw today uh which like I feel like is erroneous in its like assumption, but I don't necessarily have the data to back it up, and I'd be interested to find this data, but I haven't had the time to look yet. Where essentially there was this huge thing with like why port things to Xbox because they have Game Pass, and they don't buy games because they have Game Pass, or at least that they're less likely to buy games because they have Game Pass, and that's the argument that's kind of being run. But then also anyone who thinks that Game Pass negatively affects sales, which it probably does to some degree, uh, like also is kind of like allying with like the whole like don't port games to Xbox because who's going to buy them kind of thing, because they see the validity of like at least some of that premise. But then the problem is that like also I don't necessarily fully grant that premise to begin with, because like my thing would be what I'd be curious to see is how many Xbox gamers spend less money on Xbox after getting Game Pass, like compared to before. Because I know for myself, first of all, I spend more probably now
Hey, you get those daily deals.
because is well, I get the daily deals. I 10% off if it's already on Game Pass, which works really
Mm.
well for games that are about to leave. You know, or if I want to support the developer, like I just bought Expedition 33 on stream the other day, despite like it being on Game Pass and as far as I know, not leaving anytime soon. Uh, then anytime that I see a game by a developer I know because I've played like one of their previous titles on Game Pass that I never would have played otherwise, like I go, oh, that developer, I like this other game by them. I'm going to get it. Like I've bought like 3 or 4 Annapurna games just because like I know that publisher now, you know, like uh, and then also anytime that a AAA game comes out that's not on games, I go, well, you know what? I can justify this purchase because I'm not buying a first party game this year because it'll be on Game Pass. Even and that then also in addition to that, like there's the whole like microtransaction thing, right? Oh, well, like for instance, Halo Infinite, right? Halo Infinite was on Game Pass. I don't think I bought it. I could be wrong, but I don't think I bought it. But I've
Yeah.
easily spent more than like the $70 or whatever in like passes and stuff because like I'm like, you know what? I got this game for free essentially, so yeah, I'm gonna spend money on it. You know, I mean like, so I think there's multiple levels of there of like additional spending that actually might possibly outweigh the amount of spending that like doesn't happen because certain games are on Game Pass.
Yeah,
And
I
I'd
think
be
so
really
many
curious to
people in the
see like
marketing.
actual data about
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, well, and the only thing they can really track a lot of times is like that initial sell. They can't go beyond that. But again, like you're saying, like these things for like Game Pass or other things that are similar systems to that, the whole thing of that has such a bigger kind of like effect, like almost like kind of in a way like an avalanche. It just like slowly gets rolling, and eventually you get to a spot where you don't know how it's all these games that you played in Game Pass is going to affect that person, but I guarantee you it's gonna not hinder them, like you're talking about yourself. I mean, I'm pretty much like right there, except for like where I haven't been playing as much, but like whenever I'm seeing all these great games I want to try out, and if it ever goes off
Right.
and it's a good game that I got to try out, I'm gonna get it. If I didn't get to finish it, or it brings me into the franchise of something that I want to be invested in. It's giving new light and new life to all these other games that could not have been, even indie titles at that point. All these other
Right.
developers are having a voice, a little bit more of a voice on this. It's almost like a little bit of a stage for them to be able to project, all these different ideas that they've got and to get it to a whole new audience than they've ever been able to get before. And so, I mean,
Right. Yeah.
you can't quantize that, you can't calculate that, you can't put that very easily in the
Especially
same
out there.
kind of
Like I
field.
mean, yeah.
Yeah. You can't, yeah,
Yeah.
you can't put it on that. You can't, it's apples and oranges. You can't just say, oh, this is cells was like this, and then this is nothing. But again, that goes back to those people calculating how many hours like on Steam you have on a game. And then, you can't take data, you know, like straight up like that. Like it doesn't justify the fluctuations, and like the end
Well, and the problem
results.
is, I think that what people are like, the problem is that I think people are making these assumptions without the data. So I mean, like that's what kind of frustrates me a little bit more is that like I don't think there's any clear data that's been released that like shows that like Game Pass is cannibalizing sales. And I think that any sales that it does cannibalize, it maybe possibly makes back in other ways. I know it really does for me, but also granted, I'm way more attached than the average consumer might be. But also with Xbox being the smaller like console, like I would say that the attach rate is probably greater than PlayStation's when it comes down to like the marketplace and everything. Like those who have an Xbox like tend to be very invested in it because of that almost. Like, like
Right.
we're the underdog, so we're more engaged with it, almost to a degree. Uh But also, like, I
Exactly.
think
I
like
mean,
there's certain things that I don't even think about. Like when Starfield DLC came out, I heard reviews that it wasn't great. I still bought it instantly because I'm like, you know what? Like, I got this game for free, which isn't true. I paid for Game Pass every month. But I mean, like, the
but yeah,
fact that
I mean,
like
it
I
kind of in a way
essentially didn't
pays for
pay
itself if you
directly for
play
it.
enough
Yeah.
games, though.
Or like
But again, it's an
here's a
incentive.
direct
Like
correlation.
DLC, I'll get it. I already got it.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. And then here's a direct correlation. Helldivers 2 coming to Xbox. I bought that on pre-order right away because I'm like, you know what? Like, I know that I'm not gonna have to pay for Outer Worlds 2. I'm not gonna have to pay for Clockwork Revolution. I'm not gonna have to pay for Call of Duty. Like these are games that are just gonna appear in my library one day,
And these are
and
all
that's like
extra
money
games
that I
that,
essentially saved. Is what I'm
yeah.
thinking in my head when I make a purchase. And so, like, even though that's wrong, kind of, but like because that's money that I haven't spent yet. I think that we do work in like an arena where like it's really hard for us to like reduce budgets, like just on a societal level and like a cultural level. And so when we're looking at like having a budget for gaming, we don't decrease. We usually spend as much or more. So like I'd be really curious to see evidence that refutes the idea that like someone on Xbox is spending like the same or more than they were before they got Game Pass. I'd be really curious to see evidence that refutes that because I don't believe that's like I think that people generally, if they allot like X amount of income for like Xbox spending, even if it's subconsciously, then they're going to continue to do that. Like, oh, like, hey, I haven't bought
Right.
a game in a while. Well, oh, since I have Game Pass, I don't need to buy a game. No, I don't think that happens. I think most
No,
people go
yeah,
like,
I think you're
yeah,
right.
like I think they go, oh, well, actually, let me see what games are in the store right now. Oh, neat, this
Well,
game is, and it's not on Game
yeah,
Pass.
I
So,
think
like,
you're
yeah,
right.
I should buy
Yeah,
this.
I
Yeah,
totally think you're right because I think at that point it's like in the back of your mind because you haven't bought anything, you have cushion to
exactly.
I got all these other games and coming on Game Pass, and a lot of these great games that you might not have got, and like you said, you got all these titles already coming. Those are games that you might not have actually purchased, but now you get to experience too. Like you might have purchased them eventually, but at full price, maybe not. You would have waited, but at this point, you get all these games. And it's just you get a lot of quality, and then you get to like put it towards something else that you want to support. I've thought about that in many other games that like continue on. Like again, like you said, I got the game free. It's so easy to just get a DLC. Wow, man, that's a
Right.
slogan.
Yeah,
I got the game free. I get the DLC. Okay,
yeah. So,
put it
I'm
down.
like this whole idea that like porting games to Xbox wouldn't have a pretty big impact. I feel like is like a completely fallacious argument because like there's no evidence to support the idea that people on Xbox buy less games. I would be really curious to see evidence that refutes that. But
Well,
maybe I'll look
and
for it. But I mean, like,
we
I
could
don't know.
continue
Like,
to look for it, but it would. I mean, it's kind of proof in the pudding because honestly, you see all these other companies kind of having their own system of this same thing. It must be working. Why would
right.
they do
Well,
it?
and that's
Why
the
would
thing
they
too.
invest in
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
It's
Like, I mean,
working
like,
for
yeah.
Xbox. It's PlayStation has their own. Nintendo has something similar, and they're continue to
Well,
develop
that's the thing
more.
too.
I'm
Like,
sure.
PlayStation has their own like program. It's not like Xbox is the only one with like a Game Pass like kind of program. Like, and technically, like PlayStation's technically is bigger or whatever. Like it has less rhythm to it. It makes less sense, but it has more games on it. Like if anything, like I mean, like I feel like you would see that cannibalize sales. But this idea that like a game that doesn't come to Game Pass means that it won't sell, I think is just ridiculous. Like I bought Death Stranding on Xbox, and like I'm most like probably like I'm like 50, 60, 70 hours in on PlayStation. I'm not switching Xbox to play that. I'm not, you know? But I mean like I bought it on Xbox because I'm like, oh yeah, well like I haven't bought a game in a while. And this is a good game. Like why not? You know? I mean like
Yeah,
I
I
have
mean,
the I have
I
the
think there's
extra
the
money,
point.
quote unquote, you know? I mean like
Yeah, I think there is that point where you start to even have delusions of grandeur. Like I have Game Pass, so I mean I'm only spending this much a month, so I mean I could buy a bunch of games because I already have a bunch of other games. I mean,
right.
come
Yeah.
on, I know that's the tendency. I mean, you think about any other subscription like services, like oh I got all these other things, and they're like, well, be- because I'm saving money here and we as humans just like tend to do this anyways. Like it's just like, oh, if I'm saving a buck here, I'm gonna spend it somewhere else,
Well, and
instead
so
of
like I do this, right? So for Christmas, my family loves to give me like gift cards, right? For restaurants, which is cool. I love it. But I also usually have a rough idea in my mind of how much money I'm going to spend out, like eating out, right? Because I'm a little bit conscious of that. However, when I get those gift cards, it's not like I stop like eating out or like spending that same amount of money eating out, even. I just go, oh, okay, this means like I have 2 extra days of eating out this week. Like that's how that works for me. And maybe that's not normal, but I feel like that's more than anecdotal. Like I feel like that's probably not an like uncommon mindset, you know.
no,
Or like
I think it's
also
easy
specifically
to
with
do.
gaming. Like I mean, like dude, I bought Wildgate kind of on a whim, you know, and then I bought it like for you, like going,
Yeah,
hey, like I mean, like you know what? It's I haven't spent that much on games this year. You know, I mean, like I've spent some, but
exactly.
like yeah, why not? Like it's just like yeah,
Well, and I think sales work kind of like that as well too. When you see all these, like, okay, you haven't bought any big games because you have Game Pass. Well, these big sales come up, and you're like, well, I haven't bought a lot, and all this stuff is on sale too. So why don't I just get a few games that are marked down 50% or something like that? I mean,
I
that
will
kind
say,
of goes to
like
like
I will
whole
say
con
this.
eating food or something like that. Like whenever I get pizza, I don't just get like one. I usually get like extra because then I can, eat it throughout the week, and then I justify spending that extra initially to have a couple lunches, and then it works out, And
I will
these
say
are the
this,
things
and
we tell ourselves.
this will be a hot take, and I have no data to support this necessarily. Okay, this is all just vibes.
Hot
All
take
right,
coming in. Hot take coming in.
I do think, and I, I, I don't want to say I will bet because I don't want to put myself in a legal position here. But I do think this is not a betting podcast. I do think that big sales actually cannibalize more money from game sales than subscription services do, specifically from games. Like, I mean, like, I think it's different in like TV shows and movies and stuff and music. Obviously, it's way different. But I think specifically with games, I would not be surprised to see evidence. I don't even know how you would gather that evidence, but like, I would not be surprised to see that like big huge sales like Steam sales or Xbox sales or PlayStation sales or whatever, like their big summer sales, their big winter sales, their big spring sales because they have like multiple for like every season or whatever. I bet those make games lose more money than like subscription services do.
Yeah. I mean, probably not wrong. There's a point where it's like, okay, how am I going to get my game noticed? After it's
Right.
been, so long since it's launched, and I mean that's
I
a
should say,
kind of the
I
ploy.
shouldn't say like make them lose sales. I should just say negatively affect sales. Because like I think that they still get the
At
revenue
some
and it
point,
probably
yeah, they're still
increases the
getting
number of
revenue,
sales. But
but
like I mean like yeah. Like
There,
for instance,
it's
if a
it's
game
so
goes on
quick
sale
for
for ten
digital media to
bucks,
like 90% off. Like depending on the
right?
title and how
Yeah,
well it did. If it's one of those games like that, it's always going to do well. You can see the difference on their markdown. I mean, we notice for sure.
yeah.
But a game that just like should have scored high and it didn't score high, and all of a sudden it's like marked down 60, 50, 60% off. Yeah,
Or
I
sometimes
mean,
70 or 90%. I mean, like, yeah, yeah.
it's got to affect the overall, and then because people are gonna like why they're gonna hear the reviews, they're gonna hear what people are talking about, because that's just how media is, and then they're gonna see it, oh, like the next month. I mean, I've seen that with like some big AAA studios. All of a sudden this game that just came out last month is already marked down. That's already there's already some bad feedback, with the media, and then you're marking it down. That's already going to just keep, it's kind of like you're falling down even further, on where Game Pass, if you're putting it, or anything like that, you're getting it to a level of where you're kind of stopping, in a way you're stopping from any of that happening. Like there might still be bad feedback in a sense, but you can make that decision on your own, instead of having like a kind of like a double negative at that point, because it's like, oh, it's so marked down, it must have been real bad, and then you don't even want to touch it. So there's that factor too.
Yeah.
Of course, me, I'm very kind of open ended when it comes to any of that kind of stuff. I'm like, I want to try it. If it's a game that looks interesting, I don't usually listen to any critics when they tell me how to play a game, or how what they think a game should be. I need to get in there. I got to test
Well,
it out for
same.
myself.
Yeah. Well, and I think that like also media has changed so much. Like, I mean, like media has definitely increasingly like been more subjective. I feel like I don't think that's really disputable. Um, just in the like the tone and the direction that like journalists are given. You know. Uh, and so like that indicates generally more bias, and so like it means it's a little bit less, and sometimes less reliable, uh
Mm-hmm.
which is unfortunate. But I think like I don't know, everything's changing so fast, it's really hard to necessarily like fault it for that. Like when you're rushing through like a like 60-hour game to get a review out in like 3 days or whatever, um when
Yeah,
games didn't used to
everything
be
with
that
content
long.
driven. Yeah.
Like, I mean, yeah, like, yeah, you're going to talk a lot more probably about your feelings of the game than like the objective like criteria of it, because like that's gonna be what sticks with you when you're going through a game that fast. You're not gonna really have as much time to evaluate like some of the more objective criteria, maybe. But like, yeah, I don't know. It's just a different field today. It's really difficult to like nail down exactly like what should be criticized of that, and like how realistic it is to like expect
Yeah,
certain
you
things to
just have
happen a
to you
certain way.
have to take things, you can take things from somebody maybe that you have got maybe more an accurate assessment before, and then take it a little bit from there. But I still would say you take everything with a grain of salt a little bit, and really just don't let people tell you how to game. When it comes down to it, if you
Right.
enjoy the
Yeah.
game, you can be that one
One
person
honestly,
playing that one game, and that's okay.
that's that's a great way to end it. Is like don't let people tell you how to game. And R.I.P. Anthem.
I guess
Thanks
on
for
that
hanging
note,
out with us for this Gamecast. Moment of
it's been
silence for
awesome,
Anthem, and yeah.
and we might see
See you
Johnny
next
back
week.
next week. Who knows? But if not, you'll hear us at the same nav time.
Yeah. Like, subscribe, comment, etc., share, all those good things. Bye.
Get out of here, Craig.